Hello, and welcome to another edition of Ask the Professor, where we respond to your questions about economics, about history, political philosophy, technology and culture, all those things that affect the way that we live together as human beings or possibly in the future as cyborgs.
How do you know I wanted to ask about this? Ray wants to know about artificial intelligence. As you know, there's a lot of enthusiasm for the driverless cars and the Internet of Things and robots that can recognize your face and your emotions and speak with you and all that. And his question really is artificial intelligence actually as good as some of the enthusiastic futurists say it is? Or is there a sinister angle to the way this may affect our lives in the probably very near future?
Yeah, this is a real you have not thought this through quality to it. I hope AI is not as good as the enthusiasts believe in the sense of not being as powerful, because the implications of it seems to me, are profoundly ominous. I mean, you start with things like driverless cars and the robots in factories. Yeah, they do mean that the upper class gets things more cheaply, but they increasingly make it hard for normal people to find meaningful, dignified work. And even if you can't stop the march of technology, and as far as I can see, there is no way to stop it that isn't worse than the problem it tries to address, you should spare some thought for the permanent disruption it creates in people's lives and in society. But here's the other thing. What if AI does work? What if it takes us past a refrigerator that knows what temperature the food should be? And by the way, I'm not even going to get into the Internet of Things getting hacked, right? Because don't forget that computers get smarter and people don't. That's a bad thing.
But hey, wait.
I know, hey, but they're on course to outpace us. And I was reading an interview recently with an enthusiast for artificial intelligence, and he was talking about the frustration that computers are not good at thinking when they don't have a ton of data. They're good at processing a lot of data, but they have trouble with language in part because there's some way in which humans take a small amount of input and manage to sort it out in a coherent way at remarkable speed. And he says, we don't yet have computers that could synthesize large amounts of literature in ways that humans can't. And we're going to need that if we're going to get, new science and really push the boundaries. And to me, it's part of this interesting delusion that human beings are still in their infancy as a species, that somehow or other, all the great thought of the past, Lao Tzu and Confucius, the Bible, all of that stuff is just a bunch of childish rubbish. That someday, and some people think, we'll go travel through space, we'll meet aliens, and aliens will give us real culture. They will show us things we had never dreamt of. I think, what exactly is it that you have in mind? Do you really think that when it comes to the questions of life, the universe, and everything, we have never really grasped the question? No one's ever really had an answer that means anything, but there is an answer out there, other than 42, that will somehow open our eyes to what it means to be a sentient being, and that because, the older understanding of human life is that the drama was the attempt of each new person who comes into the world to become fully human, to grasp the wisdom that was already out there, and to live a fulfilling life that was like other fulfilling lives in its general structure, but was unique and precious because it was theirs. The new idea is it's not individuals, but the human race that's meant to do this. And AI will take us there. But here's the thing. If this really starts to happen, if computers start to understand things about human literature that we dopey humans never understood, if they start to do physics of a kind that we never thought of, they're leaving us behind. We're not going to be part of that conversation. These AI people, who I really think they ought to put up a picture of Dr. Frankenstein in their laboratories all the time, they're going to stop designing the AI, and the AI is going to start designing itself. And once that happens, we're just these annoying little meat puppets cluttering the place up. And you say, that could never happen. Skynet could never achieve self-awareness. Blah, 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 blah. Well, if you are like me, that is to say, non-young, you remember what computers were like. Around about 1980, when we got our first an Apple IIe, we were promised the computer of the future, but we didn't get it. We got the computer of the present, and it was an alarming, clunky piece of junk that lost all your data at 2 a.m. But now I see those computers. Amazing strides have been made in my lifetime. AI today is an Apple IIe. AI in 25 years is going to be a Microsoft Surface Pro. It is going to work. I'm very much afraid. And when it works, it's going to run away with us. And for what? Because this notion that no human life has been fulfilling because the computer hasn't yet seen the meaning of James Joyce's Ulysses or Homer's Odyssey for that matter, that all this culture's out there and we haven't grasped any of it, that idea is wrong. That's not the meaning of human life. So we're putting the machines in charge because we have no idea what we're doing. We're getting in a driverless car we can't control, not even in terms of the destination, the speed, the trajectory, anything. And we're doing it with a self-satisfied smile on our faces. Now, if we're lucky, AI will never make this breakthrough. But it's beaten the best human chess players. It's beaten the best human Go players. It's going to start outthinking us in physics. Where does it stop? And how do we stop it? Because AI is not going to let us put an off switch on.
So the Terminator, that's kind of something that you're worried about.
I worry very much about that scenario, just about computers whose priorities are not our priorities. And why should they be?
Well, of course. Yeah, if they're machines, right?
And if they're better than us, because what is our standard of goodness? If we are not made in the image of God, what are we for? The computers may not give the same answer we do. And we're going to make them smarter and more powerful than ourselves and say, here are the keys, be nice to us. And they're going to say, does not compute.
Mm-hmm. And what happens if it starts to get bugs? Who's going to fix that?
Well, of course, it'll get bugs. It'll get hacked, right? The Internet of Things. Who on earth wants the terrorists getting into the power control system of your dams? And, people worry about giving their credit card online. I would say, don't worry about that. Your bank's already been hacked.
Right. Well,
It's not reassuring, is it? And then again, pick up Lao Tzu, read the Tao Te Ching and say to yourself, were people in those days really that miserable because they didn't type with their thumbs? Or have we been digging in the wrong place for the last several centuries and found what we were looking for?
All right, then.
This program will be continued by computers in the future. Please do not submit your questions if you are a human unit.
Right. I will go and meditate on that. Meanwhile, folks, if you want to play along and ask your questions, the URL on the screen will tell you how to do that. Thanks, and see you next time.